Good morning. I want to touch base with everybody. It's been a while since I posted a video, and I felt like now was a good time to come out and discuss a few different things that were going on. One of the reasons why I've been away for a while, obviously everybody's been dealing with this pandemic. Everybody's been doing their fair share of social distancing, shelter in place, different things like that. So I went back and I was reflecting on some of the topics and thinking about the education. And education is extremely important as far as what we do and how we can help and the different services we provide. However, one of the things I did struggle with was, what do we talk about right now? And I struggle with the idea is car accidents, and is this the appropriate time to talk about car accidents? And is this the appropriate time to talk about something that's, more dismal or more depressing than what's already going on right now with this pandemic? And so I wanted to wait. I know we all had a lot on our minds. We all have a lot on our plates, whether it's with work, loss of work, whether it's, with the family, whether we have children and dealing with, at home schooling and different things like that. So I felt, now was the appropriate time to get back out there and to discuss a few things. But so one of the main things is it's crazy. It truly is what 6 or 7 weeks will do. And, 6, 7 weeks ago, maybe even less, maybe 5 weeks, as far as the valley was concerned, there's certain things that we just didn't know and didn't discuss. The word social distancing, essential versus non-essential businesses, flattening the curve, these are all buzzwords or words that, that we're using in common. And what's crazy is, for the first time we're hearing our kids be able to use that. One of the other big things is contactless service. We've seen, I'm sure everybody's watching their fair share of TV, so we've had an opportunity to watch and watch different types of services, have to adjust and adapt. And we've done that here at our office. We've continued to stay open. We continue to do different things, but there's no doubt in order to be compliant, in order to be able to help, in order to keep moving, that we've had to adapt and adjust, accordingly. So there's no doubt this time period has affected, thousands and thousands of lives. Not only whether you've been in contact with COVID, whether you're trying to stay safe from COVID, but socially, economically, physically, this has had a big impact as far as how we lead our lives and what we've done. But also, I'd also point out the very thin lining and the silver lining and what this, has had an opportunity to do. I think we've all had an opportunity to reconnect with our families. We've had an opportunity. I find myself calling people that I haven't called in a long time, just to touch base, make sure they're doing okay. I find myself, at home with the kids, being able to watch TV, enjoy a movie, being able to do different things and really spend, quality time. I also find myself, outdoors more and more, whether it's walking, riding a bike, whether it's doing some work in the backyard. And it's great to be able to get out and see different people doing the same thing as well. Also, one of the biggest things that I've seen, it's crazy in all of this, is what it's brought about is just amazing, the acts of kindness. And it's anywhere from the national level, whether you're watching a concert, from everybody's home. You're hearing about donations, you're hearing about different people doing different things. One of the great things is, a commercial I really like is with whether it's a nurse or first responder, traveling, coming home from work, beating with the pots and pans, that's something that really touches my heart. But it's also has transgressed into, something down here locally, and just listening every day to see what people do, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on, any other news, whether you're talking to friends, and everybody who's capable, I believe, has stepped up and has continued to step up, whether it's providing meals, whether it's providing donations, and just acknowledging those who are at the front line, those people that are taking necessary steps to make sure that we're safe, whether it's a police officer still patrolling, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doctor, they're in the hospital and taking care of those who are not only being treated for COVID, but also, just taking care of those who are also sick or who have other complications. And so that's just an amazing situation. I find myself, even the times that you are, driving, there are, people seem to have more patience. Obviously, there were up until probably till this past weekend, there are fewer cars out on the road, and people really did seem to have patience. Where you get to an intersection and said, no, you go first. No, you go first. Less honking, less frustration, and different things like that. When you're in a store and people just seem to have more patience in terms of understanding that we're going to have to wait in this line, understanding we're going to have to maintain this distance. And people just seem to be generally in a happier mood as far as when they were out there and going through this time. So the other thing also, when I thought about what to talk about in the conversation and the discussion, I also wanted to make sure that I wanted to thank everybody. I wanted to thank the first responders. I wanted to thank, these people that are out there, that are putting their lives at risk, that are continuing to do the jobs and continuing to work. I also want to thank those who aren't able to work. And I thank them for, understanding the situation, understanding that they, maintain a positive attitude, understanding that they're at home, taking care of their families, taking care of their kids, even though it's a very, very difficult time. We've read about different stories and some of the extreme hardships. And so this is going to affect and has affected, everybody's life in one form or another. So I want to thank the mothers and the fathers that are at home, that are homeschooling with their kids. I've done it. I can tell you it's not easy. I have a whole new, and I think probably the rest of the country does, while they should have always had an appreciation for teachers, you have a whole new, renewed appreciation for the teachers and what it is that they do. Trying to get them to stay focused and trying to get them to concentrate is a huge task, and to be able to do that on a continuous basis is incredible. So I would join those that have already, expressed their gratitude, and I know on behalf of me, on behalf of my family, and on behalf of my staff, we're extremely, grateful for what people have done. And not only that, and what they'll continue to do, and how just resilient we are as Americans, as people, and just things that we have to do. So as we continue to shelter in place, I think we have probably about 2 weeks left that the shelter in place order is in place, and maybe that may or may not be extended depending on how we do. I know in the last couple of days, a couple things I've started to see, and I think we saw there was an address from the president last week about moving forward, and I think we as a people are ready to move forward. We want to move forward. We want to get out there, and there's things, whether it's a concert, whether it's, or forget the concert, whether it's just as simple as being able to go back to work and being able to conduct work in a normal fashion. But at the same time, it's also some of the leisure aspects, whether it's in the concert that I mentioned, whether it's just going to a movie, whether it's going to the park, and instead of being limited to the walk trail, you can actually go to the playground and take the kids there and have fun. Whether it's the opportunity to be able to gather for birthdays, gather for weddings, and unfortunately, even to gather for funerals. So I know that we're wanting to get there, and I know it's going to happen soon. But one of the things I did notice, just an observation, was this past weekend. I did see, just because one of the things before I talk about the weekend is how much I enjoyed, being able to take, whether it was my kids, being able to walk with my wife, and being able to do these different things and going for a walk. You saw people walking, you were able to say hi at a distance, able to acknowledge them, but just really the amount of being able to see the amount of people that were out and exercising and just decompressing, I thought was extremely impressive for the Valley, specifically, to McAllen. And, 5 or 6 o'clock, the trails were busy. In the morning, it's busy. Actually, even during the day, people were busy. I probably saw more bike riders in the last 4 weeks that I had seen in a long, long time. And not only that, I think, at least I did, when I was on the trail, when I was on the road, I felt safe. And I felt either someone driving the vehicle, were being courteous. Everybody else seemed to have that patience that I've discussed and I've mentioned. And so it was great just to see everybody out. It was great to see that as a community. one thing I would caution up until, like I said, this weekend is I noticed, just a kind of a bit of a change in the attitude. And maybe it's time because where people have been quarantined, people have been sheltered. So it was time for them to get out, people starting to, get out a little bit more. And I did see a lot more traffic. And what I saw, in fact, I went home and I was talking to my wife about it, is I saw that transition starting to happen where people were still wanting to get out, people were still wanting to walk, people still wanted to ride. But I saw the traffic start to pick up, and I saw the patients slowly starting to run through the course of the weekend. And so one of the things is I would urge you just to be careful and continue, us as a community, we take a deep breath and say, okay, this is going to happen. And we should encourage people to continue walking and to continue to be out on their bikes or skateboard or whatever it is, scooters. But for us to take a deep breath and for us to continue with the patients. And not only that, first and foremost, for the safety of that person walking, be able to anticipate, when I hit that intersection, there might be a person walking out, or there might be a person coming out across with their bike. And not only just one person, it could be a whole family. And so, as we start to adjust to this time period and we start to maybe try to get back out a little bit more, as we want to continue the lifestyle of being able to, be out on our bikes, being able to walk and jog, that we just maintain that balance where we're cautious and we're aware of every corner and of every situation and what, what it might bring. And that way, we just don't add any more tragedy to a situation like this. And so, that would be one of my messages, just to be cautious and to be aware. So with that being said, the question is, what have we been up to? What have we been doing in the meantime? And how do we plan to move forward? One of the things that we did once we received the new, as far as shelter in place and the new ordinance from the county is, we had to make some modifications. So we did put a system in place which allowed us to continue to work. We continue to work at a safe distance. We continue to work, maintaining 6 feet apart. We continue to work using, face masks, and I know we use plenty of hand sanitizer. With that, I know we were limiting. In fact, we did not meet, in person with any of our clients during the time period. We were available to them by either conference call. We're available by Zoom. We've conducted mediations and depositions that way as well, so that we continue to move forward. But what this time period allowed us to do is really get caught up. It allowed us to get caught up on the things that we had pending, some of the files that we have, and being able to not only move a file forward, but we've actually been able to resolve a number of files as well, which was great. It's also allowed us to move forward as far as, how do we deal with, the distance, and how do we deal with this opportunity where we're used to having a client come in. I'm used to shaking a client's hand. I'm used to having him or her sit across from me so we can discuss this case. We've had to modify those different things. It's modified the way we've been able to handle new clients as well. And so one of the things is, we've already, and for a while, we've been using DocuSign, but even used it that much more to send them any contracts, to sending any information. We've been available to anybody, 24/7, and been able to, if they call this number and they have some information or they have a question, we've been able to respond to them in a quick and an efficient manner. So those things are key. And we've been able to utilize all these tools and resources, and it's really helped us become, just more efficient and be able to progress during this time period, which would ordinarily be extremely difficult. So we use the tools that we've had, and we will. And those are tools that not only are we using them now, but I think that they're tools that we could continue to use, in the long run. And so, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, obviously we're here to help. And even with that, it got me thinking. One of the things I did think about is, so our primary practice is personal injury. So any type of injury, any type of situation where a person's been injured as a result of somebody else's actions or somebody else's negligence. But when I say we're here to help, it's not just limited to that. One of the things I do have is, I'm fortunate and I have a lot of friends in this practice as well. And not only in personal injury practice, but also, in different types of practice. So even if you have a question and say, I don't have a personal injury case, but I've got a question and maybe need a little bit of help and a recommendation or referral on a business case, on a family law case, or on a criminal law case. Don't be shy, don't be afraid to give us a call. And if I'm not able to help you, we're going to send you in the right direction. And I'm going to call upon one of my friends that I know and I trust, and obviously they're competent, and very competent to do their work and be able to send you in the right direction. So any questions, any problems, please feel free to give us a call.